Okay, we're looking at the game Iron Bottom Sound Edition 3. Now, the second edition came out in 1998 from Jack Greene, and I'm not sure when the first Iron Bottom Sound came out because I can't find any reference to it on Board Game Geek. Anyway, this is the third rendition of this fine game. Came out last year, and it's by a Japanese company. So the rules are in Japanese and English. Not a problem there. They've got a nice, beautiful mounted map, and I'm just working out the most efficient sortation of the ships right now. Because what you see before you are the American ships. There's about 90 of them, and there's about 90 Japanese too. So I'm just working out a sortation method, and as soon as I get that worked out, we'll get back to the video. I tried sorting them by ship type: destroyers, cruisers, light cruisers, battleships, but that didn't work out too well. You don't get a very efficient sort. So I think in the end the most efficient way of sorting them will be by alphabetical, and that's what I'm going to do. And once they're sorted, we'll take a look at the pieces and the game itself. Okay, we'll take a look at the components to the game. Now, as mentioned, the game comes with a whole host of ships. There's at least 90 Allied ships and at least 90 or so Japanese. So I've sorted them by first letter, name, and you'll find that a lot easier to set up the scenarios. So that's the ships, and we'll take a closer look at them in a moment. I did mention that the game is bilingual in the sense that you get a complete set of Japanese instructions. Well, I don't read Japanese, so we'll put that away. And you get these combat results charts, which are also in Japanese, very colorful. Of course, you get the same charts in English. So there's your charts, quite colorful. Torpedo hit table, collision and torpedo hit table, armor penetration, special damage, gunnery hits, gunnery hit table, all your modifiers. Charts are on nice, shiny paper. The rules of play, not too bad for rules. We're talking about, what? These are scenarios. So about 17 pages of rules. And the scenarios are on these nice charts. You can put your ships on here to set up and then start your scenario. The designer recommends you commence with the Cape Esperance scenario, and I think that's what I'll do. There's a lot of scenarios: Kula Gulf, Channel Action, Tassafaronga, Cape St. George, Second Battle of Guadalcanal, Battle of the Solomons, Columbagara, First Battle of Guadalcanal, and Savo Island. And for those of you who are not familiar with the campaign, the battles are mainly around Savo Island and Guadalcanal, so it's a specific time period in World War II. You also get a second booklet, which is the ship logs. You'll need to copy these. There's the scenario, the Japanese ships for Cape Esperance, and there's the ships for the Americans. So you'll need to Xerox those. And all your ship data, of course, is in there for all the scenarios. You'll need a movement attack log. You can Xerox that too. Now, one fellow on Board Game Geek, it isn't Board Game Geek. Pardon me. I just made copies of the scenarios themselves on cards, and it's much easier to work from copies rather than the booklet. They come out a little dark, so watch out for that. If you do copy them, set your printer to a little bit lighter, because some of these vessels here in the copy are very difficult to read. Now, the board is not large, but it's functional, and it is a mounted board, which is really nice. And for certain scenarios, you'll need the battle of the Savo Island in there, and the coast of Guadalcanal. So you align the X to a particular hex in the scenario setup. So in some scenarios you will have Savo Island in there. It doesn't look as if there's a lot of room to maneuver, and since I haven't played the game, I don't know how it will play out. I do know that the ships do move in line ahead most of the time, and they occupy a single hex, like so. And we'll take a closer look at the counters in a moment. So the counters occupy one hex. They are the long rectangular counters which I like so much for naval games. And let's take a look at some of the counters. Okay, as you can see, the information on the counters themselves is very sparse. There's very little information there, and that's intentional. You do know the name of the vessel, in this case the Aoba. That's the direction it's moving. That's the type of ship it is, CA, heavy cruiser, and these are the speeds. On the flip side, and I'm not sure why we use the flip side yet, the information is the same. And of course this is true of all the ships in the counter mix. Here we've got the Fahrenheit destroyer, Laffey destroyer, San Francisco heavy cruiser, and the Boise light cruiser. So the information is not on the counter itself, except for movement, because you'll need to know that. The real gem of the game is the log sheets, which are really nicely designed, and there's a mine of information on the log sheet itself. Like I said, you'll need to make copies of those to take your damage. And it kind of is reminiscent to me of the old Jutland game, Avalon Hill. But I'll briefly describe what's on the log sheet so you'll get to see how complex the game is or how detailed it is. Again here, the class of the ship, Aoba Heavy Cruiser, the name of the ship. If there's a little flag here, it means it's the flagship. C is its flotation value, and the square boxes are the primary guns. You can see a 6 and a 5, and the arrows indicate what bow arcs it can fire. Of course, the front and the starboard. Over here you can see the rear gun, stern primaries. It can fire starboard and port and directly back. Over here are the secondary batteries, who can only fire starboard or port, and these indicate torpedoes. This indicates whether you have reloads for the torpedoes. And that's your hull, how much damage it can take, and the speeds. This is really interesting the way it works, because when you take a hit, in this case you would cross off the largest number on the left, and if it took another hit, you'd cross off the 5 on the bottom, indicating that the ship is now a 655 counter. If it took another hit, you'd cross off that, and the ship would be a 654. And you keep crossing off left to right until, of course, the ship is slowed down considerably, probably eventually sunk. This describes what kind of guns the Aoba has. In this case, primary guns are 8-inch, secondary guns are 4.7, and it's got 24-inch torpedo tubes. And it's worth victory points of 12 if sunk. This is its armor value. Primary armor is 1 inch thick, and the belt armor is 3 inch thick. So for every one of your ships, you have a log like this, and your game damage is recorded, of course, on these logs. There we have a simple diagram of how the ships are faced and the various arcs of fire in the game. Now the way the designer has designed the speeds of the ships are very interesting, because a half a knot of speed or 1 knot of speed between ships can make a heck of a difference. And in most naval games they have, let's say, a 21 knot ship being able to go, let's say, 7 hexes, and a 20 knot ship goes, what? Probably also 7 hexes. It's not finely grained enough to show you the fine-tuning between ships of only 1 knot apiece. So Jack Greene has fixed that up by designing the game with 3 numbers on it. And basically it means that in the first phase of movement the Fahrenheit can move 6, in the second phase it can move 6, and in the third phase it can move 5. Same with the Laffey. But the Boise is a little bit different. It would go 6 in the first phase, 5 in the second, and 3rd in the 5th. It's good because it shows a little bit more fine-grained of the differences in speeds of the ships. And that's the first time I've seen this in a naval game, and I think it's quite innovative. Well, how does the game play? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know. I haven't played it. I'm still learning the rules, examining the counters and the charts. And by examining the charts and counters, reading the rules, you get a sense of what the game's all about. And I don't think this is going to be a very, very simple game. I think it's going to be a very detailed combat situation of World War II surface combat. see the gunnery table. You can see gunnery factors here, and your dice roll goes from 11 to 32, which your cross-hatch obviously will give you a result. And I can tell from the range and target modifiers, there's all kinds here, range modifications, and whether you're firing into the target or the stern, the speed of the target makes a difference, and there's a whole host of other modifiers. So the designer has gone into a lot of detail about how surface ships fire in World War II, and I think that's a good thing. I'm just looking at the other charts. I can see a lot of work has been done here. And look at the collision and torpedo hit table. Again, dice roll between 2 and 12, and flotation type. Remember, we saw that letter on the log of the ship. So all kinds of stuff can happen here depending on the flotation value of the ship. So this is pretty detailed. You've got the torpedo characteristics of each nation. US, UK, and Japan. Japan should have very good torpedoes. And the different speeds. Torpedo hit table, depending on whether you hit broadside or bow stern, that kind of thing. Speed modifiers again also. And then there's also modifiers for the torpedoes themselves. And the long lance gets a +1, Japanese 21-inch -1, US Mark 11 -2. I'm taking it that -2 is probably not very good. +1 is good. Collision modifiers if two ships collide. And then we've got the beloved armor penetration table. Very important in World War II surface combat. Whether your shell hits and whether it can penetrate, two different things. And then on top of that, once the ship is hit, you've got your special damage table. Quite detailed. Dice rolls between 11 and 66. So this is one detailed game, and I'm anxious to give it a try. I see a gunnery hits results table, gun caliber to target type, modifying the dice roll. There's a lot here, and this is a lot more detailed than I thought. But this is my introduction to this series. I know this has been very popular as a series, because I know Jack did other titles in the series. Kriegsmarine, I think was one. So I'm anxious to give this game a try. I can't say much more about Iron Bottom Sound until I play it, but my initial impressions are very favorable. Now, it's a very popular series of games over the years. I know Jack has done, I think, Kriegsmarine and Destroyer Captain, or British Destroyer Captain. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the series. This is my first purchase of the series. Concerns. My only little concern is maybe the size of the map. It seems a little small, and I've just set up the Cape Esperance scenario here, and I don't know how it'll play out. Maybe the size of the map won't be a big deal at all. I won't know that until I play. Although I have noticed that in the setup, the sighting distances, most of these ships can sight each other, so the game sets up almost in a combat situation. I might have liked to have them enter from a little further apart, but I won't know how the game plays until I actually play it out. It looks like a very good game. So that's it for my look at Iron Bottom Sound 3 from Jack Greene. Thank you for watching.